My name is John Caruso, and I am the owner of Body and Soul Remedy here in Sarasota, Florida. Today, I'm going to speak upon your emotions and your organs. Did you know that in traditional Chinese medicine, there is a strong emphasis on the interconnectedness of your emotions and your physical health? Because of this, I have adopted the belief that your emotions can impact the flow of vital energy, also known as qi or qi in the body, leading you to having imbalances and eventually all of your illnesses that you may be suffering from. Up next, I will provide you 5 common associations between your emotions and the specific organs they correlate with so that you can learn a little bit more about yourself. Stay tuned to learn more. Those who come in to see me will usually be amazed that I can find all these points on your body that usually have a lot of pain. And these areas that I'm pressing on are most likely acupressure points. What they don't realize is that I'm pressing on specific areas on the body that correlate to specific organs. There is a strong emphasis on the interconnectedness of your emotions and your physical health. And because of this, I have adopted the belief that your emotions can impact the flow of qi, also known as your vital energy in the body. This impact leads to imbalances and eventually your body's illnesses. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is the liver. It is the one that most people talk about all the time. People are doing liver detoxes, liver this, liver that. Liver is the filter. We hear it all the time, especially in the holistic health world. And there is every herb out there, from Ayurvedic herbs like kutki to milk thistle, which is a very popular one. And all of these are aimed at repairing the liver by most likely cooling it down. And I say cooling because the emotion that is associated with the liver is anger and frustration. And these two are very much associated with the liver. And as you could tell, when a person is angry, they usually get hot, right? So the herbs that you would use most likely would be bitter, such as kutki, very bitter herb, and milk thistle, which is also a very bitter herb. And they tend to cool the temperature of the liver. Now, long-term emotional stress or unresolved anger can lead you or lead the liver to some kind of stagnation. And so that would mean in traditional Chinese medicine, they would look at it as your liver qi or your vital energy is stagnated. Now, that could potentially manifest as headaches, neck tension, or even digestive issues. So people who usually have a liver dis-ease will also have some of those symptoms, and that's just a small list, but there's a lot more. Second, I'm going to talk about the heart, and the heart is a beautiful one. The heart feels everything, so be careful what you watch and what you're reading on your phone or your tablet, because like I mentioned, the heart feels everything. And it is a energetic powerhouse next to the brain. I mean, there's a lot of electricity flowing between those two organs, and even more so in the heart. Now, when I'm in session with a client, I do usually pay attention when I'm working on their back here, the mid to upper back. I would notice that those that have a heavy heart or something on their heart or some kind of heart dis-ease, they tend to have a lot of tension in this area. In the chronic conditions, I would say they have more of a kyphosis, which is a bending, it's an over-exaggeration. In this case, everyone has a kyphosis, but in the case that I'm speaking of here, it is more pronounced, okay? The heart itself is linked to joy, but you would have never even realized that excessive joy, which is possible, I've met those people and they're almost sometimes hard to believe, but excessive joy or overstimulation, as well as the lack of joy, can affect your heart's function. And this kind of emotional balance is usually to the heart manifesting as insomnia, heart palpitations, or anxiety. People with those types of conditions will also have pains that run down their arm. And when I'm working in this area, they're usually because it's such a yin, meaning a feminine area to be working on, they're usually very taken aback by the pain that they're feeling and never knew that they had so much pain in their forearms. So a lot of the times this can lead all the way down right into the hand, close to the palm, but right down the arm and into the hand. I also noticed that a lot of the times shoulder issues will come about because of congestion here, or that vital flow of energy known as chi or ki has been stagnated in some way, shape, or form. The next organ I'm going to talk about is the spleen / the pancreas. Now, almost across the board, in all of my patients here in my clinic, I realize that the spleen is the underlying, I may say symptom, it may be even the cause, but the spleen is normally always affected. And in today's world, it would make sense. And why? Because the emotions that are associated with the spleen / the pancreas are worry and overthinking. So when I go about massaging this organ, which is here in the upper left quadrant of the abdominal, I find a lot of tension, a lot of deep tension in this area of the body. And emotional stress in this area usually contributes to also digestive issues, fatigue, or just a weakened immune function. So I always treat the spleen. When I feel this tension up here, I will go down the spleen meridian, which is another yin line that runs from the feet all the way up the inner thighs. And I'm telling you, almost all the areas on the body, the ones closest to the trunk or the inner part, the medial aspect of the body, are going to be super sensitive. And when treating the spleen in certain areas, certain points are going to hurt quite a bit. But clearing up this energy, stretching the legs usually helps a lot. And a lot of people feel really, really, really good afterwards. And you can usually hear a lot of stuff going on, a lot of gurgling and whatnot when I'm working these areas. Now, what is also super important, which is a powerhouse for energy next to the kidneys, first I'm going to talk to you about your lungs. Now, I told you, these are the 5 main organs that I usually treat a lot here in my practice. And the lungs themselves, they're imbalanced because of the emotions of grief and sadness. Usually this is where we'll find there's the house of grief and sadness. Again, this is going to lead to arm pains as well and discomforts here, wrist issues, hand issues. It involves a lot of the shoulder, but mainly your lung meridian runs through the arms. And many of my patients will have their shoulders rolled forward, pain in their neck, going down their arms, including numbness and tingling, but overall, the emotional balances of the lung area might be connected to respiratory issues, such as asthma or even shortness of breath. So if those are any of your symptoms, I would, in my clinic, work this area along with the large intestine, but we're not going to actually cover that one today. The lung is something that I do see a lot, and I wanted to bring some information for you to help understand. Finally, the major powerhouse for all of your energy, and what sits on top of them are your adrenals, is your kidneys. So there, again, we're working on the inner part of your legs. You can see how important it is to stretch these muscles. It's so important. But not just stretch, but work in there. And there are ways, and you can find tons of videos online. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that this area of the body, especially on the inner parts of the body, are super, super important. Now, the kidneys are usually related to fear and anxiety. Of course they would. Look at the world we live in today, especially here in the States. Fear and anxiety, it's everywhere. It's in our movies, it's in video games, it's everywhere. No matter where you look, there's fear and anxiety. But most of all, it's up here. Now, when your fear and anxiety become chronic, a lot of the times when I'm interviewing a person, I will look for certain things in their face, such as these lines here right above their brow. That shows me that they normally have anxiety. Now, chronic fear or anxiety may affect your kidney function and manifest as issues as lower back pain, reproductive problems, and urinary issues. I also noticed that a lot of my clients will have massive sensitivity on the inner parts of their legs, as I mentioned earlier. This wraps up the 5 organs I thought were the most important to cover today, because these are the ones that I see the most here in my clinic. And in today's world, it's not filled with just pain that can be felt physically, it's also filled with pains that are unseen, trapped, usually discarded or tossed aside, not even looked at, because it's the physical that is the most obvious. So that's all we pay attention to. However, here I focus on the whole entire body. But the point is, there are pains that are unseen that need to be addressed in order for the body to become whole and perfect. Here at my clinic, I don't just treat your physical. I work with the physical, but we're also getting deeper. I also see your emotional well-being as an integral aspect to maintaining good health and living a long life. So my treatments address both your emotional and physical aspects in that moment. If you'd like to learn more about what I do, read more of my articles, I invite you to visit www.bodysoulremedy.com. I'd also welcome you to make an appointment with me. We'll go through a full body consultation that's built into your therapeutic bodywork session. My office is located right off the South Tamiami Trail, across from the beautiful Philippi Creek Park here in Sarasota. So if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Have a blessed day.